When I came out of each treatment, I felt like I know what I need to do. I'm not my past, and I refuse to be my past. I'm only focused on the future. Not hating people that wronged me, but feeling sorry for them. I just knew what I had to do next. One of the staff came in and held my hand. She said, "You arrived, you made it." I felt like I finally stepped into myself and the old me was shed. So other packages you got here that can take me to the next level, because if I can reach this level, how much further can I go? How much more work can I do if I got to this point? This experience has been life-changing. It's a game changer.
Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patti, the voice of Myself Wellness, along with my co-hosts Christina Thomas and Jamie Venziel. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and struggled to find lasting healing. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the one and only Rick Haas, Marzuka Real Estate, Haas Homes, here live with Myself Wellness, Charles, Patti, and Christina. Let's go.
What an amazing intro that was.
I was just going to say the man that needs no intro, Rick Haas.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of cameras. I love them.
No, and then
cameras,
here
you put a microphone on me, it's game over for me.
I love that, man.
great.
Heck yeah, brother.
Yep.
So I tell everybody, since you're doing the intro, who is Rick Haas?
Well, I mean, I grew up here in Naples, never left. I've traveled all over the country. Naples is one of the most beautiful places I've been to. Both my parents were in real estate, so I naturally got into real estate. I was in a band throughout my 20s, a rock reggae band. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Were you in SoFlo?
I was in SoFlo.
You were in SoFlo?
Yeah.
I always see you hanging out with those guys on social media, and I knew you guys were all really good friends, but I had no idea you
I
were in
didn't
the
realize
band.
I've known you for that long because I don't even remember their names now, but I would hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
That's
we toured all over the country, all through my 20s. It was awesome. It was a really awesome experience. Got to go to every state, see every national park multiple times. It was wild. It was a wild experience, and I can't explain it to anybody unless you were there, what it was like just to travel around the country with 5 of your best friends. We were dirt poor, but the money that we made from music covered our room and board, our food. So it was just traveling for free and experiencing the most beautiful things this country has to offer.
I can't believe I'm literally just learning this right now. That's totally epic.
Well, you learn something new every day, right?
Heck yeah, man. So the real estate thing, so you literally, that was your vision. Well, so the band first, and then you were thinking that, and then
guys broke up.
Yeah, I started getting into, so I was looking into how can I make money while I'm traveling on the road? And real estate, you really just need a computer and internet. So towards 2017, somewhere around there, I got into real estate because both my parents were real estate agents here in Naples. So I said, I've heard them talk about it throughout my whole life, and I kind of understand the business. So I'm going to do that. I can do it with just a computer while I'm on the road and write stuff and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And so I got into that. Well, right around a year after that, that's when the band broke up. I said, all right, well, now that I'm not traveling around the country and I'm back home, I'm going to go full force into real estate. And I was one of the original ones at Marzuka Real Estate with Jorby, Jesse, Jess, Deshaun, and Josh. And Josh made me a partner in the company right away and said, help me grow this company. And all 6 of us are partners in the company, and we grew it. And we thought it was just going to be us. We didn't think it was going to be anything big. And we had a little office off JNC Boulevard that could fit maybe 10 people. The fire marshal would come if we had 12 people, I promise. And with our model that we had with the 100% commission and everything, it grew so fast. And we started in 2017, and here we are, 7 years later or so, with close to 500 agents and 5 offices statewide. And we're growing at such a rapid pace. It's awesome. But we never expected that. And so I just dove fully into that, helping grow the company and my real estate business. And it definitely helped being pretty much from Naples, because I moved down here when I was 4 and I'm 37 now. So this is pretty much from here, right?
Yeah.
So it helped being here, knowing people, and Naples is such a small niche city that people like working with people that grew up here, that from here, that know the area, right? Because we're just a melting pot of every state in essence. But yeah, so I dove into that, and by the grace of God, I did really well since the beginning of my career. And every year has just been elevating and elevating and elevating. And then I started another company, which is a transaction coordinating company to help agents with paperwork, which is going really well. I probably do anywhere from 30 to 40 files a year on that, on top of my stuff. So it's just, life's been good. Life's been great.
Heck yeah, man. That's all awesome. And for everybody that doesn't know it, Rick actually sold us our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sold it and helped you buy
Yeah,
one.
that's what I was just going to say.
Sold the other house and then helped to buy the new house. That's
Yep.
heck yeah, man.
Yeah, we got top dollar for that house.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like right at the perfect time in the market to
It
actually
wasn't,
sell.
though.
I'm a bulldog when it comes to negotiating. I need to have my way during a deal.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Those of you agents that have worked with me, I'm sorry. Nothing personal.
Well, so like, I'd love to, what?
Stop rocking.
Oh man, yeah, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
it's a habit. I started feeling myself rocking.
I don't even know that I'm doing it right. So a little while ago, you reached out to me and you were like, hey man, listen, I've been checking out the treatments that you guys offer, and I was thinking it might be something that could help me. What really kind of led you in the direction of considering actually coming and doing treatments with us, man?
Well, honestly, it started probably 4 years ago or so when I had you on the Doors Open Connect podcast, which for those of you that don't know, I was a co-host on a podcast that me and Deshaun Robinson started in, I don't know, right around when COVID started. And we were like, okay, we're bored. We have nothing to do. Let's start a podcast, right? And I think that's around the time a lot of people started podcasts. And so we just wanted to talk about like real estate, business owners, and kind of just like entrepreneurial stuff. And Deshaun actually was like, hey, I have a friend, Charles, I'd like to have him on. So let's do it. And he's like, it's going to be a unique one because we're going to talk about wellness, ketamine, that kind of stuff. I'm like, what's ketamine? What is that stuff? And so we had you on, and I remember you talking about it, and that's when I first met you. And you were talking about ketamine and like what it does, and it like blew my mind that there's even a drug out there, or chemical, or whatever you want to call it, that there's something out there like that, that would just change pathways in your brain and help. I never knew about it until that podcast. So I was very intrigued, and that was sign number one. Okay, there's 4 different signs that I came across where I was like, I need to try this. I need to do this for myself. And so that was sign number 1. Sign number 2 was I started seeing you out more at like events and magazine events and all kinds of stuff, right? So that was sign number 2. Then sign number 3 was you contacted Jesse Logan and I and said, hey, we need to sell our house and we're looking at buying one. I'm like, okay, cool. So Jesse and I teamed up. We beat up the other agent on the deal, got you top dollar, like you said. And to the other agent, I'm sorry, that's nothing personal. And then we helped you find a house in one of my favorite communities that you guys bought into, and everything worked out. So that was sign number 3. Then I hit like a rough patch with, my head just felt like it was clouded. Like I couldn't think past tomorrow. I couldn't, and the one thing I'm really good at is my career working. So I buried myself last couple of years and just work. And my head felt clouded. It started ruining friendships, ruining relationships, ruining relationships with my family. And I didn't know where this aggressive mindset came from because I was never like this. And from 2020 to 2022, I was in a pretty traumatic relationship with like a narcissist to the T, right? This girl was a narcissist beyond. And it was a very traumatic relationship. And then I got into one recently, last couple of years, and all that baggage that I had and traumatic experiences that I had and insecurities, I buried them deep down inside from that first relationship. And I brought them over to the second one, and I didn't realize I had them until they popped up. And then I didn't realize how to work through it and what I needed. Sign number 4 was a year and a half into this relationship. The second one, she mentioned ketamine. She said, have you ever thought about ketamine? One of my friends have done it, and that was sign number 4. And automatically I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 signs right here. I got to call Charles. I got to figure this out, because this might be the answer to my issues, things I'm going through. And I had a therapist that I was seeing once a week, and I thought that was the problem. So I switched to a different therapist, and I started seeing that therapist twice a week, which, talking about stuff I believe truly helps, but it doesn't do what ketamine did for me. One treatment of ketamine felt like 10 years of talking to a therapist. And so that's when I reached out to you and I said, I need an orientation. Like, what do I got to do to get in the door? And you said, go ahead and set up your orientation. Here's a phone number. Call the office. They'll take good care of you. Which your staff, by the way, is top notch, phenomenal.
Thank you.
And yeah, so that's when I booked the orientation. And met the shaman, which was really interesting because he had pictures of Osho on the wall. And I watched that whole series on Netflix about Osho, and like,
whenever anybody tells us that, I'm always like, oh no.
it's like Old Country or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So I've seen that. And then when I saw the pictures, I'm like, I know I'm in the right place. That's sign number 5 right there.
Usually goes one of 2 ways.
Shaman / psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I know.
And so like, I knew I was in the right place. And he could feel the energy coming off me. He could feel like the PTSD and like insecurities and the problems and stuff like that. So I knew I was in the right place. I was honestly terrified. I didn't know what to expect. I knew it's a very powerful compound. I knew that. I knew going into it. It was, and I did like my own research on it and saw like in the 70s, they use it like for anesthesia during war and all kinds of stuff. So I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. I just knew that I wanted serious help to make changes I needed to be my best version. I can go into the treatments. How deep you want me to get? I'll go.
No, listen, like first what I want to say is like, I love how you followed your intuition. And like, and a lot of people like people will get messages or signs like that and they think it's just coincidences. And, if things keep presenting themselves to you over and over like that, it usually is a sign that it's like, hey, I'm supposed to look into this. I'm supposed to go into this direction. And I think a lot of people out there like don't do that. And so I'm really happy to see that, you actually listened to yourself and followed that direction.
Absolutely. And being a man of faith, as a Christian, I don't believe in coincidences at all.
It's God.
I believe in faith and fate.
Yeah.
I believe the plan's already been laid out.
Yeah.
A coincidence as a Christian is basically saying God had no idea what was going to happen, and he threw his hands up and said, oh, I guess this happened today, right? Yeah. So I don't believe in coincidences. He sends us signs and says, hey, wake up, here's another sign. You didn't catch that one? Okay, I'll send you another one in a different form. And once I saw all the signs, I said, I got to reach out. And it's been a life-changing experience. I remember going in for my first treatment. I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And the first treatment for me, I know it varies for everybody. The first treatment for me was, I know it was kind of like an introduction to the compound to my body and everything like that. But the first one and second one kind of went together. And it felt like I got put on one of those inflatable like beds and pushed out to sea. And these were like the visuals I was having. And it felt like dark shadows were rushing over me, which were like all my insecurities, my traumas, from childhood traumas. I didn't have the greatest relationship with my dad growing up, so a lot of that stuff popped up. Me and my brother would fight like just like normal brothers would, but a lot of traumatic experience with that popped up. Relationships, friends over the years. So all those insecurities, traumas were rushing over me the first couple. They were coming back and saying, hello, remember me? Remember me? And then the third and fourth treatment, it felt like I was in a movie. It felt like I got put, I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can. It felt like all those traumatic experiences that I got brought up in the first and second treatment, I was there at the scene of the crash. I was there and I was watching each, and this was treatment 3 and 4. I was watching each trauma, each insecurity unfold, right?
Like a movie,
and,
right? Like from a third party perspective.
Yeah. And like it was so vivid. Each one was so vivid. And through the treatment, which is about 50 minutes or so, it was like a clip of each one. And I got to see like, and I remember screaming at myself saying, stop, don't do that. No, this is what's going to happen. But that version of me in that moment could not hear myself. And then it happened. I'm like, oh no, here's what's going to happen next. And then I got to watch it unfold. And so 3 and 4 were a lot of that, getting to re-experience those traumatic experiences, those insecurities. And then 5 and 6.
Were you able to view them as they were happening to you from a different perspective? Like you saw it differently while you were watching it?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw it, and in that moment, the first thing I thought of was, here's what I could have done different to change that outcome. Here's what I could have done different to save myself from that insecurity and that traumatic experience. And when I came out of 3 and 4, and I landed safely back on planet Earth, which you go to a whole nother planet. You're not on Earth. And when I landed safely back on Earth, after every treatment, actually, my head felt like it was still a cloud because there's so much coming in and coming out. It was the days that followed after that where it felt like a clear sky and everything was so clear.
So like when you were doing that and you were experiencing that, you were literally processing everything. It's like you were decompartmentalizing.
Don't worry, I can't say that word either.
Decompartmentalizing everything where
What's
it's like
the other word you can't say? Recidivism.
You were unpacking everything and like that clutter, like all of that stored clutter in your mind makes a lot of life hard to get through because it's like you're so backed up. And this is like this massive process and release from it where it really does clear those skies, clears your head out so you can really start processing appropriately and moving forward, man.
We emotionally
Absolutely.
stuff too as we go through life, and it just helps take out all of the baggage.
Yeah. So to fully answer your question, Christina, when I came out of each treatment, like I felt the very next day, I felt like I was like, I know what I need to do to correct that behavior. I know what I need to do to change that behavior for the future. I can't change the past. I'm not my past, and I refuse to be my past. I'm only focused on the future. That's why the windshield is so much bigger than rearview mirror, right?
Yeah, man.
And so I came out of it not hating people that wronged me, but feeling sorry for them, feeling sorry. And so, yeah, it was, I just like knew what I had to do next. Right. And so 5 and 6 were different. Treatment 5 and 6, I felt like those treatments were closure. I felt like those treatments, I was able to close doors on a lot of things that came over me that I was working through, that the movies I went through in 3 and 4. So 6 was a game changer. Because each one of those, I came out of it a little groggy. And I had this ritual where I'd Uber down to the mall, eat cheap Japanese food, and walk around.
Sakura, Japan.
Yes.
Love that place.
It was so good. It's so good.
Naples thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. But then I just kind of, I'd have my headphones in, and I listen to Avid Brothers, which is just like an awesome folky band that's like super positive. It's almost like listening to church music at that point. And so I would just walk around the mall, just like processing, do a few laps. I'd hit one of those massage chairs for $7 in the middle of the mall. So that was like my ritual after each one.
Okay, so like that's awesome. And I never heard this part about your journey until now. And it's like you literally were like reprogramming your mind after these treatments by listening to positive music and pouring into yourself and going around and processing everything and sitting in the massage chair. And it's like, so you were continuously doing all of the work following these treatments, which I applaud you for.
I knew. So when I talked to some of your staff, they said, if you really want the full experience, you have to let yourself go in these treatments. You can't fight it. You got to open up, and you got to stay open throughout the week, and continue to do positive things, meditate. And one of the things I've done since high school, I'll go down to Vanderbilt Beach. I'll go to the right, not to the left where the tourists are. I'll go to the right. I'll walk past the Turtle Club.
Also a Naples thing.
Yeah, I'll walk past the Turtle Club where I know tourists are not going to go. And there's just open beach after that if you can make it past the Turtle Club. So I've been doing that since high school, where I'll go down there and I'll bring a chair and I'll just listen to music, usually like a lot of reggae music, and meditate. So once these treatments started, I started doing that 2-3 times a week. And I just opened up. I said, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to spend the money and time doing this, I got to go all in. I can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And when I came out of treatment number 6, I didn't feel groggy. I remember when I was coming out of it, I was dancing in the chair. Like I was moving around the chair. I was dancing. One of the staff came in and held my hand. She said, "You arrived, you made it." And I felt like energized. I felt like I was on pre-workout, and I'm like, get me out of this chair. I'm ready to go lift 1 million pounds. I'm ready to go. Like treatment number 6 was an awakening. I felt like I finally stepped into myself, and the old me was shed. And then after that, I was like, how much further can I go? How much more work can I do if I got to this point? And that's when I reached out again. I said, so what other packages you got here that can take me to the next level? Because if I can reach this level, and, my friends, family members, they saw the change each week, and they said, something's different. What's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, what drugs are you on? Like, are you taking drugs? Are you like, how do you feel this good? How are you acting this good? And I said, no, I'm not on any drugs, honestly. And I told them ketamine. They're like, we've heard of that. That's like really crazy. And I'm like, I thought it was crazy until I took it, until I realized how much of a medicine it is, how beneficial it is to your psyche, to your brain. And I told him, I was like, I don't know how to really explain it to you. I can't tell you what planet I've been to. But I can tell you it's like getting a brain transplant. It's like starting over. And then that's when I got the package of 3. And I said, let me try 3 more. So 2 weeks after number 6, I took number 7. And number 7 was another game changer. Because after 7, I felt like I had the power to open and close doors I wanted to in my head. Like if I did not want to experience something, door closed, no problem. If I wanted to experience something, door open. So I felt after 7, full control of my brain, full control of my thoughts, full control of my reactions, which my reactions to other people's actions would get me in trouble with my mouth and my heart, right? So, and then recently, this last Tuesday, I did number 8. Wow. I think I have wings. I think I can fly now. I just feel so good and proud of myself for doing this. and the gratitude I give myself each day is off the charts.
Heck yeah, man.
And I have you guys to thank for this. And like I said, I don't believe in coincidences at all. I knew there was a reason you guys came into my life. And I know this is it, and this is why.
You know,
Profound.
That was awesome. And you did all of the work, and you did everything you needed to do. And I love this part of the conversation too, because a lot of times people will be like, so listen, like, is it 6 and I'm done? Like, is that like, or do I have to keep coming back or whatever? And the thing is like, I tell people, like, there's no one size fits everybody, but sometimes people are getting so much from the treatments and they're like, well, if it took me this far, I want to see if I can go farther. Mm-hmm. And like that, with my psychedelic healing journey, that's what it was for me too at certain points, where it's like, okay, if I've got this far on my healing journey, it's not like a task where it's like, oh man, I have to go back and do another treatment. It's like, let me peel another layer of the onion away until I feel like I have wings and I can fly, or things like that.
We should change our slogan.
What's that?
Ketamine gives you wings.
No, Red Bull will come after us, right?
No, not Red Bull. It'll be some crazy person that sue you for $12 million. Like they sued Red Bull for that. I don't know how I didn't think of that.
Yeah. But like the thing is that it's like the limitless pill almost. Mm-hmm. It's like activating parts of your brain, opening those doors, shutting off other parts of your brain where like, I don't need that part of me anymore, or I don't want to have that interfere with my daily life anymore. Another question that I always get from people is like, is it going to change who I am? Is it going to take away because I really like who I am, but there's just certain things holding me back.
Yeah. A lot of people think that if they do ketamine, they're going to not be as productive at work. Do you feel like that happened to you? What would you say to that person?
No. My productivity at work is through the roof. I'm just getting busier and busier and busier because of the amount of power I have in my head now. I feel like in the movies, The Avengers, how Captain America took like that serum and all of a sudden he went from like this scrawny, skinny guy to like this superhero. That's like what I felt like ketamine did. It's exactly what you said, like the limitless pill. My brain is just so much more clear. I'm able to think better at work. I'm able to focus. My focus is off the charts. Two things that I suffered from big time was anxiety and depression. I feel like I don't have it anymore. I wake up every day with like no anxiety, no depression. Every day is good. Even if I have a bad day, there's still good to be seen throughout that day, right? And life is beautiful. It's not over, right? It's over when you say it's over. And so my productivity at work is through the roof. And I thought the same exact thing going into it. I'm like, this is going to change me and I'm going to be someone different. I'm going to have to change my name and my social security. And I thought that was like what was going to happen. And it didn't change me in the sense of that way, but it changed me in the sense of, and my whole goal was to reach the best version of myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I reached it. I think I reached a whole nother level beyond that.
Exceeded the expectations.
Yeah. By far.
I love that.
By far. And now after 8 treatments, and I have number 9 coming up probably in about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to schedule it, which I'm very excited for. After these 8 treatments, I felt like I went through a whole lifetime of talking to a therapist. Like there's nothing that compares to how I feel right now. There's nothing that compares. I don't think there's a drug on this earth that can make me feel as good as I feel right now.
I love, so it's like a different story of somebody that had substance abuse issues, and it was a friend of mine, and he'd been to rehab, I think like 11 times or something like that, right? And he sat down in the chair for his first treatment, and I walked in after the hour was over, and he was crying, and I was like, hey man, I was like, are you okay? How was it? And he goes, forget a 28-day stay in rehab. I just got more from sitting in this chair for the last hour than I've ever gotten a rehab stay in my entire life. And it's like, I think it's because we're always trying to figure out what's wrong with us, and we're trying to like talk about that, and we're trying to get to the root and to attack that issue or whatever. And there's something about surrendering to the experience and letting the medicine do its thing and actually figuring out what you need to work on and giving you clarity on those things. We really
Ketamine brings down the filters.
it breaks the filters down, and it gets you to surrender to like God and the universe and just like allow that healing to happen rather than doing the healing yourself. It's like Dr. Ferber always says, it's not a doing, it's a happening. And I think once we can get ourselves out of our own way, which is really what ketamine is good at doing, it propels the healing journey forward like so much faster. So like, why wouldn't that be a beneficial thing for people?
100%. And you touched on something earlier. You came in into the, what I call like the relaxation room.
After your first treatment?
After my first
I
treatment.
wanted to talk about it.
You came into the room. And I'll never forget this. You came into the room and I was sitting there like, what just happened? Where did I
think
go?
I asked Charles like 4 times, is he okay?
Like, where did I go? Am I even on Earth right now? Like, I feel like I'm sitting on like, what just happened? This was wild.
Have you had an experience like that before? Have you done psychedelics before?
Yeah. So being like in a reggae band, touring all over the country in my 20s, mushrooms were a thing. I've tried acid before. And I was a wild man in my 20s. I was in a band touring around the country, and so I've tried psychedelics, but
It's different.
put those together times 10, and it's not even close to a drop of where ketamine takes you. And when you came into the room, I'll never forget, you came and you sat down, you were smiling, and you said, how do you feel? And I said, I don't know how I feel. I don't know what just happened. I don't know where I was at. I don't know where I just came from. It felt really weird, but good, but I don't know. And you said, you're an onion. You're peeling layers. This is the first layer. And you said, wait till after treatment 6. Just wait. And I said, I don't know what that means. I'm like, where am I going? Number 6, right? And that's when after number 6 hit, and I got it. I understood what you meant right after that first treatment. And it's like, and you mentioned something earlier, you know, it's like getting closer to God, right? And letting the medicine do its work. Like, you know, you can't go to heaven unless you're saved, right? According to Christianity and my beliefs. Well, you have to surrender yourself to your faith to be able to be saved. And it's the same thing with the medicine. Like, you have to surrender yourself to the medicine to let the medicine save you. And I remember, I think it was treatment number 3. I had like a bad day at work the day before, so I wasn't going into that treatment clear-minded. And once you get the shot, 2 to 4 minutes, you're out of here. And it was just like your staff said, you're gonna feel your mouth go numb, your nose go numb, and that's kind of when you know. And I would brush my tongue over my teeth, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And that was the last thing I felt before going under. And I just remember it was the third treatment. I remember I tried fighting it right in the beginning because I just had a bad day. My mind wasn't clear going into it, and I tried fighting it. That fight lasted about 30 seconds, and I'm like, nope, I'm losing this fight. Just surrender. And so that was the only time I tried to fight it. And what I could recommend to anybody out there that is interested in ketamine, do it if you want your life to change dramatically, and you cannot fight it. It's not something you can fight. And then after number 3, when I hit 4 and all the other ones, I was like, here we go, let's go. Because I knew what it was doing, and I knew how I felt, and I knew I was gaining after each treatment, I was gaining more and more of myself back and gaining more and more control over my thoughts, my brain, my head, which, you know, there's 18 inches between your brain and your heart, right? So those two things communicate. So it wasn't just my brain was changing, it was my heart was changing. Things that I involved myself in, I removed myself. I took myself out of a lot of things. You know, I was overloading myself with work. I took a step back with work, and now I became more efficient with work. I took a step back from friendships and relationships, and now I'm more efficient in those friendships and relationships. And it's a game changer. It's such a game changer.
Isn't that funny? It's like, so during these kind of sessions, we learn how to surrender to the experience. And then it really correlates with life, where it's like, don't do my will, do thy will. Where it's like, I keep on thinking that I'm running the show and that I'm in control and I need to force everything to happen. And like, it's really just God's will the whole time. And that I really feel like ketamine assists in that aspect, where it not only like removes the ego at times from that, like where like I'm making all of this happen and I need to do this and I need to do that. And it really allows you to sink into that. I need to show up and be present and come from a heart-centered place and let God do the rest.
100%. I'm a control freak. Through real estate and all my other stuff that I'm involved in, like my career, for example, for real estate, I have to control every aspect of the deal. I have to, have that power. And after these treatments, I'm like in my let them phase, where it's like, I'll let them feel like they have the power. Someone wants to come to me and say 2 + 2 = 10. I'll let them say that. I don't care. Yeah. It's not going to affect me, because the direction, the path I'm going in is, I'm focused. It's like tunnel vision. Like there's nothing that's going to pull me off my path now. Whereas distractions would easily pull me off my path. And the power that I have now is so much different than how I felt last year.
I love what you just said too. It's like not having to feel the urge or the need to respond to things that don't need to be responded to. It's like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, sure. Like 2 + 2 is 8. Sure. Like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
But like,
A lot of people can't let things go, and I feel like that keeps you really stuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
And after my treatments, like I said before, the people that I had grudges against, that I hated, I don't hate. I feel sorry for. And one of the biggest things I was able to do is forgive myself. Forgive myself of my past. I'm not going to be my past. Like I said, I refuse to. And before ketamine, I would be so hard on myself, and I would look back at my past and say, well, this is who you are. You're trash. You're garbage. You're not worthy. You're not valued. No one cares about you. And I was I still am. I'm very independent, but I put myself in a corner and made myself alone. I made myself, which made it worse, especially when you're self-hating to be alone. And so I wasn't good to myself the last couple of years. I wasn't good to myself mentally. I would beat myself up every day, and it would affect everything around me. It's kind of like I would just burn everything down around me, and it wasn't good. I knew it wasn't healthy. And one of the biggest things I got out of ketamine was that self-forgiveness, was that self-gratitude, and saying, I am worthy. I am valued. I am worth it. There's people that care about me. There's people, people come into your life like seasons, and some stay, some go. Some were there for a reason, some good or bad, whatever that reason may be. And that when I was able to forgive myself, and it wasn't just ketamine, it was a lot of praying. It was meditation down at the beach. It was the whole package. A couple weeks ago, I bought this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I would highly recommend reading. It teaches you how to start with small habits, right? And I knew ketamine is not like, oh, you're cured and that's it, and you don't have to do anything and you're perfect now. I knew there was more work to be done after. And so that's when I said, if I'm going all in, I'm not going to just go through 6 treatments and go back to being the same way. And that's when I got that book. I started reading. I started meditating 3 to 4 times at the beach, which is like my safe place. Boxing is like another one of my safe places where I go for like an hour, and you have to focus on like the combinations and stuff. Otherwise you get hit in the face, right? I don't want to get hit in the face. That's like my moneymaker for real estate. So it's like an hour of just you getting out any bit of aggression. So like I put myself in different safe places. Of course, church is like another one. So I put myself in all these safe places to be able to continue that healing journey. And the gratitude that I give myself every day when I wake up is exhilarating. It is, it feels so good to the point where now I'm working out. The last 3 weeks I've been working out twice a day. And I'm 37. Like I'm going to hurt myself eventually working out that much. But I go to boxing for about an hour, and then I'll go do weights for about an hour, hour and a half after that. And I feel really great. My eatings, I changed like my eating. Like I changed when I say I shedded my old self, I shedded everything. Like I stopped everything. I changed habits. I changed my bedtime. I used to stay up until like midnight because I couldn't fall asleep. I'm sleeping better. Like if I make it past 10 o'clock, that is wild for me, right? And like my sleeping's not perfect, but it's gotten better because my mind's clear. I don't go to bed with so much anxiety or depression as I used to. So like I said, if I'm going to go all in and I want the full experience and I really want to make those changes, I have to do other things on top of ketamine.
This is the perfect client right
Yes,
here.
you are.
Like you are the perfect, we don't
If I had
like
a trophy,
using
I would give it
the
to
word
you.
patient because we don't look at it, people like that, but the perfect client where it's just like, you did everything you were supposed to do. It was a metamorphosis for you. You were like a snake that was shedding its skin off, and it's like it just shedded off the stuff that like no longer served you anymore. And now you're like this bigger, better version that's doing all of these amazing things and continuing the healing journey because ketamine is just the beginning of the journey. And I think people get too caught up on that where it's just like, oh, well, I mean, I did the treatments and I feel better, but like nothing's really changed. And it's like, well, the ketamine's not going to change something. You have to change it. And you're doing all of that.
Yeah. The ketamine opened those doors for me. It opened those doors for me to be able to change those habits, to change everything I wanted to. I wanted change so bad in my life. And there's things that I talk about. So I also do trainings at my brokerage and everything like that. And one of the things I always bring up is how bad do you want it? How bad do you, like if you want it as bad as you breathe, you'll get it. You'll go after it, right? And it's like the diamonds versus air theory. Like diamonds are a shiny thing, right? They're a shiny thing, but can you live without diamonds? Yeah. Air, on the other hand, can you live without air? You can't, right? So I wanted it so bad, change that I said, I'm going all in. I'm not going to just do the treatments and then go back to old habits and go back to old thought process. I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to mix it with other things that I know is going to be positive and good for me. And when I mixed in the meditation, it's just like you said, you can't just go through the 6 treatments and you're changed. If it was as easy as that, everybody on this earth would do ketamine and the world would be perfect. There'd be no wars, there'd be no fights, and we'd all just
kumbaya.
Yeah. Singing Kuna Matata and watching Lion King every day, right? So it is the first, for me, it was the first steps to my journey of complete healing. And at this point, after number 8, I feel like I'm fully healed and I'm not like looking back. I'm just like moving forward. And the one thing I can recommend to people that are around someone that has gone through ketamine treatments and are fully diving in and are fully making those changes is if you hit them with their past, if you keep hitting them with their past, it's going to bring them backwards. It's not going to bring them forwards. So people in my life, I've said, I get maybe I've wronged you in the past. And I hope one day you can forgive me. I've forgiven myself. And, but the worst thing you can do to me is bring up my past. I know my past. I happen to be there during my past. So I know my past. And I just refuse to be that.
It's a version of you that doesn't exist anymore.
No, that person's gone.
Yeah.
I kicked that person out the door. It was before ketamine, I felt like I was standing in a doorway with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I want to change, but I didn't feel strong enough to do it. And ketamine gave me that strength to say, you can do this. You're self-loved. Give yourself gratitude. Give yourself that purpose, that drive you have inside of you. And it was literally what got the other foot through the door. And now that I'm standing, and now that I have the power in my head to be able to close doors, I close that door. That old self is locked away and he's gone. He's not getting through that door anymore. And the power I have in my head and heart right now is, I feel like I just walk around on a cloud every day. And even if I have a bad day, it's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay. I got another day tomorrow, right? And so it's just an exhilarating journey that I would, even if you have mild anxiety or depression, go through an orientation. See if it's something that you'd be interested in. Don't be scared. I was terrified after my first session, but when you came in the room and you said, "You're just an onion," I said, okay, I don't get it, but I think I will. And then I finally got it and I finally understood. And, the person I am today versus who I was even last December is so different. And my friends, family members, like I said before, are like, what are you doing? Like, what are you like on? And I'm like, I'm not on anything. I'm just changing my life. And ketamine opened that door for me. And my habits are so focused right now with what I'm doing and where I want to go. That was the reason why I got the package of 3, because I was like, how much more work can I do? If after 6 treatments, I've done this much work and I've gotten to this part of my life where I'm able to control it, like, how much further can I go? And 7 and 8 have taken me, like after 6, I felt like I was better than my best version. 7 and 8, I thought that was my best version. Yeah, right. This is my better version. And I know, and I'm so excited for 9 because I feel like it's going to get me to a very strong place. And I know future wise, I'm going to want to, get more sessions as like a maintain thing to be able to maintain it throughout the year. Maybe not take it as frequent as I have been, because I wanted it so bad that I wanted to do these treatments weekly to get to that place as fast as possible. Cause I'm a very impatient person. I don't think that's ever going to change. When I want results, I want results and I want to get them now. And agents that have worked with me in real estate, they know I get very impatient throughout the deal. Like the other agent on the other side, I'm like, hey, give me this document now. I don't care. Do you want me to come over to your office and help you fill it out? Like what do you need, right? And HOAs drive me nuts, by the way, a side note, because they take forever to get you the estoppel and the approval paperwork. I'm such an impatient person. I've shown up to HOAs and said, I'm going to sit here and work all day and drink your free coffee and eat your free mints until you get me the paperwork I need. Like that's how impatient I am as a person. And so I don't know if that's ever going to change for me as far as being impatient, because I want results now.
Is it impatience or is it driven?
Drive.
I think it's drive at this point.
And seeing what you just went was perfect. It's like, I want results now. It's like, well, like people are stuck in their habits and their ways. And it's kind of like you're on this hamster wheel continuously all the time. And ketamine gets you unstuck. And then it's like, now you're actually moving forward. Mm-hmm. So like the healing process has actually begun. Over the last 5 years since I did ketamine, my life has continually evolved and changed and got better and better. And I keep growing as an individual. But for so many years, I never did any of that. I was just in the same place continuously over and over and over again. And so it's like it really is that catalyst. It's that spark that ignites you to start flowing in the right direction so you can grow and evolve into the highest version of yourself.
I felt like I was in quicksand for the last 2 years. I felt like I was running on a treadmill, right? I was not getting anywhere. I was just dumping so much energy and effort into, and going back to what you said before as well, I was trying to do it my way, and I was trying to let my will be done. I wasn't surrendering to God's will, to the universe's will. I wasn't surrendering to anything. I was saying, I have the power to do this, but I felt like I was just on a treadmill. I was in quicksand. I wanted the change in my head. I wanted to go that way. But every day I felt like I was taking one step forward, one step back. I was just not getting anywhere. And that's when all the signs finally clicked. And one of my best friends in my life, she said, try ketamine, maybe. I have a friend that went through it, and her life has changed. And I said, okay, I got to do it. And this experience has been, is there a better word than beneficial? Like it's extraordinary. It's life-changing. It's a game changer. And I don't know what to say.
No.
I mean, I just feel so good.
Do you have any regrets?
Not doing it sooner. Not doing it sooner.
There it is.
And, I feel like, and I've ruined relationships with insecurities that were not their problem. I ruined friendships. And I feel like if here's the thing is, a couple years ago when I hit that dark place in my life, I knew I needed help. I didn't know what kind of help. Like, you don't wake up and be like, oh, I need 2 sessions of therapy a week and ketamine once a week, and I need 6 sessions of it, and then I need to go meditate, and I need to go, like, you don't wake up and just like know what you have to do, right? I'm a real estate agent, which is basically just an unemployed person until you have a deal each day. Like, that's literally what I am. So I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know. I know I needed help. I went through a life coach, psychiatrist, therapist, and I know I needed help, but I didn't know what kind of help I needed until all the signs clicked and I finally woke up and said, ketamine. That's something I've never tried before. I know, and I remember going back to the podcast when I had you on Doors Open Connect, and I re-listened to that podcast. I went back and I listened to it before starting ketamine. So this last December, I went back and I'm like, I need to listen to that podcast over. So I re-listened to our podcast, and that's when I'm like, why didn't I try this like so much sooner? If I would have tried this, if I would have went through ketamine, and the problem, like I said, is I didn't know what kind of help I needed. I knew I needed help. That's step number 1. I knew I needed help. And if I would have went through this, a couple years ago, I could have saved friendships. I could have saved relationships because my mind would have been so different. And, the friendships and relationships that I did destroy, that I did mess up over the last couple of years, I've forgiven myself for that. Whereas the last couple of years, I didn't forgive myself. I just kept beating myself up. And it's like I said, I didn't know what treatments I needed. I didn't know what I needed until going through ketamine. And after treatment 6, when I had that breakthrough, it clicked. It was like, I've arrived. I'm here. I made it. So it's a crazy, exhilarating experience that got me to where I needed to faster than I thought it would, much faster. And like I said, I'm a results person. I need results today. And it exceeded my expectations.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Well, last question that we always end out with. If you had a message to give the world, what would it be?
Any message.
Any message.
Wow. Okay, well, I pray for world peace. No, that would be nice.
Yeah.
No, life is so short, and that saying, YOLO, you only live once, not true. You live every day. You only die once.
Love that.
Yeah. And people out there, I feel like, now this is, higher up ketamine version of me talking right here. I feel like people take life for granted and, take life slow. Life is beautiful. Even when you have the bad days are just learning blocks. And setbacks are just a setup for a comeback. And, life's not over. There are things out there that can help you get to where you need to be. And don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid to, I thought I was going to be a loser by getting a therapist. It's helped out. I was terrified of ketamine. It's by far taken me to a whole nother version of myself that I didn't even know was inside of me. So take life slow. It's short. Enjoy it. Spend it with people that you love and care about. And don't be afraid to step out of
Your comfort
zone. Get comfortable being in the uncomfortable if you want to make changes in life. That's the best thing I can say at this point in my life.
Heck yeah.
That's great. Thank you for being so raw and real and open with your story and vulnerable and trusting the entire journey and process with us.
Yep, I'm an open book. So, and I'm not ashamed of what I've gone through, because that version of me does not exist anymore.
Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the My Self Wellness Podcast. And just remember, if nobody's told you that they love you lately,
We
do.